Let's talk about dating as a teenager. This is going to be a very fun and informative video. And so what I want to do is I want to share some dating advice or dating guidelines that I wish that I knew when I was younger. Because let me tell you, this guy right here, young Tim, made a lot of mistakes, like a lot. And so before we get started, let me just say a few important things. The first is this. In my humble opinion, being a youth pastor for over 15 years, I actually don't think that you should date either in middle school or in high school. And I know that's a hot take, but here's why. Most relationships in high school, they don't last very long. Very, very few make it to marriage. And there have been studies that have backed this up, right? Studies say that anywhere from 2 to 5% of high school couples get married. And so the odds are just not in your favor. But at the same time, I live in the real world and I know that a lot of high schoolers are going to date anyways, which is exactly why I'm making this video to help you be more wise and discerning when it comes to dating. And the second is this. I want to challenge this really popular idea in our culture and also in the church of this concept of finding the one. Now, I don't believe that God created just one specific person out there that you have to find in order to have a successful relationship. Because if that were true, then that would put a crazy amount of pressure on every single relationship. It puts a lot of pressure on you and it puts a lot of pressure on the person that you're seeing. And so I think it's less about finding the one and it's more about choosing someone who loves Christ, has character, and then just committing to that one person. And the third is this. The Bible actually doesn't mention dating at all, right? Nowhere in the Bible is there an instruction or a manual on how to date well. And so all the advice that I'm going to give you in this video is going to be based on Christian principles and Christian values, but also from my own personal experience. And so with all of that out of the way, let's get started. Number one. A healthy relationship starts with a healthy you. So I want to start here because I think this is the foundation that everything else is going to build on. Everyone is so fixated on finding the right person, right? Everyone is so focused on who they want to date rather than who they are becoming. And so when it comes to dating, a lot of people look outward, but in my opinion, I think the starting point should actually be inward. Because here's the thing, you can't build a healthy relationship if you're not in a healthy place yourself. And if you think about a relationship, it's two people coming together, which also includes your worries and their worries. Your insecurities and their insecurities, right? No one is perfect, right? No one has it all together. Everyone is a work in progress, but there should be a level of self-awareness of your shortcomings. And so you have to be honest with yourself about the areas in your life and the areas in your heart that still need growth and healing. So don't go into a relationship looking for validation or happiness or to fill some empty void in your life because that's way too much pressure to put on another person. And so focus on your faith first. Build your character. Learn how to communicate well with other people. Be the person that you want to date and that you want to meet. Become a healthy person yourself, and then the healthy relationship will follow afterwards. Number two, make sure that your faith aligns before you date. So in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, it says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. In other words, you have to make sure that you and the person that you want to date share the same faith. Make sure that you both are committed to following Jesus together. And that verse is very important because when it comes to relationships, that's going to determine how far and how long a relationship is going to last. And if you think about a yoke is a wooden bar and a wooden beam that connects two animals together so that they can pull a heavy load in the same direction. But here's the thing. If those two animals are different in size and in strength, and if they're facing the opposite direction, they're going to struggle to walk at the same pace because there's going to be a misbalance of power and direction. They're just going to go in circles and they're ultimately going to get exhausted and then nothing gets accomplished and then they get nowhere. And that's exactly what happens when two people with different beliefs and different faith try to build a relationship. It is just incredibly hard because there is no alignment in direction. And so the longer that it goes, the more that you're going to feel that tension pulling you in opposite directions. And let me say this. I've seen this happen so many times in relationships where someone will start dating someone with an unbeliever and then eventually pulls them away in a completely different direction spiritually. And the worst case scenario is that the believer actually stops going to church. And so having the same faith matters a lot. Following Jesus together matters so much. So here's what I want you to think about before getting into a relationship. I want you to ask yourself some honest and deep questions. I want you to ask, does this person actually share my faith? And not just do they go to church, because a lot of people can go to church, right? But is their faith real? Is their faith alive? Does their faith shape how they live and how they make decisions and how they treat people? And so you want to make sure that the person that you're dating takes faith seriously and that you guys are on the same page spiritually. Number 3. Attraction matters, but character matters more. So this might be surprising coming from a youth pastor, but attraction matters. And I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't, and I'm not going to make you feel shallow or bad for caring about attraction. But let me just say this, it is not everything. Attraction alone should not be the foundation for a relationship, because attraction at the end of the day, it fades. Gravity is going to come for everyone. Everyone is eventually going to wrinkle. Everyone's going to get saggy skin. And so what makes someone physically attractive at the age of 17 is going to look completely different when they're at age 47. And this is why character matters even more, because a person with integrity and honesty and humility and consistency only gets better with time. Character is who someone actually is at their core. It's who people are behind closed doors, and it's actually who they are in private. And for me personally, I've come to admire character far more as I've gotten older. Because let me say this, I've been around a lot of attractive people, but their lack of character made them so exhausting to be around, right? The way that they treated people and their lack of integrity, to be honest, it was a pretty big turnoff. But when I was around people who were kind and who had integrity and who were humble, they became more attractive in my sight. Now, I'm not saying that attraction doesn't matter, but attraction without character is not going to last very long. And so look for someone whose character makes you want to be better, and look for someone whose character is modeled after Jesus Christ. Number 4, don't watch what they do, but how they react. So I remember hearing this from another pastor, and when I did, it changed the way that I view someone in a relationship. And so when you're trying to figure out who someone really is, don't just watch what they do, but watch how they react. And so here's a difference between the two. Actions, for the most part, are deliberate choices that people make. And anyone can put on a good act, right? Anyone can say the right words, anyone can make a nice dinner, and anyone can be a good listener. People, for the most part, can perform really well when they want to make a good first impression. Anyone can put their best foot forward when they want to impress others, right? And I would say people in general are really good at acting, but reactions are a bit different. They reveal far more about a person, because reactions are what people do in the unscripted and the unplanned moments of life. Reactions, if you think about it, it's all about instinct. It comes from who they really are on the inside. Right? Reactions are just, in general, very, very hard to fake. And so if you really want to know who someone is, you have to watch for their reactions. Watch what comes out of them when they're not ready and when they're not prepared. Watch what comes to surface when life gets hard. Because here's the thing, hardship and pressure doesn't create character, it just reveals it. So let me give you an example. Watch how someone reacts when they're stuck in traffic or when they don't get what they want. Right? Watch how they react. Do they get angry? Do they complain? Do they get defensive? And so how people react is a pretty good indicator of their character. Now, here's the thing. I want to say this about reactions. Everyone makes mistakes, right? Everyone has their bad days. Everyone has these moments that they're not proud of, right? I have a lot of them, right? That's just what it means to be human. And so we should be gracious when people have their bad days and when they have these bad reactions. And so what you're looking for is a pattern. Is there a consistent pattern of unhealthy reactions every single time? Because if there is, then that should be concerning. And so you're far better watching for people's reactions, because those reactions tell you far more about someone than their actions. Number 5, going slow is wise. So this advice is very countercultural because we live in a fast-paced society where everything is instant and immediate, right? But as a teenager, going slow is the wiser and better move. Just because something is fast and efficient and moves quickly doesn't always mean that it's healthy. And here's what I mean. When you go slow, it gives you time to see who someone actually is. When you go slow, it gives you clarity so that you don't rush or speed up the beginning stages of a relationship. Because if you think about it, getting to know someone takes a lot of time, and none of that happens in a few weeks of intense emotional connection. Getting to know someone requires patience. It requires unhurried time. And so when you go slow, it gives you space and time to pray to God and to ask Him if this is the right person for you to date. It creates space for you to listen to God's voice and to discern whether or not you should get into a relationship with this particular person. And so take your time and let things develop naturally. Be very wary and very cautious when people want to rush and speed up the pace of any relationship. You're a teenager, so you have a lot of time. You don't need to rush things, and so go slow. Build something real and trust that what God has for you is worth waiting for. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned a lot. And let me know in the comment section below any other dating advice that you heard. Hey, take care, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.